Welcome back, YouTube. We've got another Dropzone Commander battle report for you today. We are going to be playing the mission out of the new book that is all focal points. The name escapes me at the moment.
Surging Strike.
Surging Strike. We're going to be playing that one today. There is one focal point in the center of each quarter. So we've got one in the street here, one next to the building over there, one in the open plaza there, and then another against the foot of the building on the opposite end. The final one will be the fun one. It's right in the center between the two small buildings, so we're going to have some fun there. Goal is to hold those, and you get an extra point for the focal points that are in your opponent's half of the table. So that's the table in the mission. 2,500 points, United Colonies of Mankind versus Shaltari Tribes. We'll be right back with the army lists. Alright, so first up we have the United Colonies of Man half, 2,500 points. Josh is going to walk us down his army.
So I filled out all 7 battle groups. For my first group is my field command with a Kodiak and a level 6 field marshal commander in it, and he has 6 Wolverines, anti-air versions, Wolverine A's, and a squad of Praetorians and a Raven A that I forgot to set on the table.
Okay.
Then I have 2 identical armored formations. They have 2 squads of 3 sabers in condors, so 6 sabers total, and a rapier squad in a condor in both formation groups. Then for my legionnaires, I have a small legionnaire unit that has 2 squads of 2 stands in Raven A's with missile pods, and they have an Eagle gunship for support. And then I have a large legionnaire corps that has 2 squads of 3 stands in Bears sharing a condor, and they have 3 longbow howitzers with Raven Bs with missile pods for transports.
There's the longbows. I knew they were there somewhere.
Then for my special ordnance section, I have 2 scimitars and a ferrum. And for my air wing, I have 2 archangels.
Alrighty, so there is the UCM half. A few little changes. Should be interesting to see how those function on the table. Be back with the Shaltari half, which has also changed in just a moment. Shaltari Tribes, 2,500. Shaltari half, we have the Council of Elders, which is the Coyote with a Commander 5. Then we have 2 Ocelot War Striders, which are in a group together. For our first infantry group, we have 2 groups of 2 Braves, and they have 2 Thunderbirds attached, giving them a try with their new rules. Second infantry group is 1 group of 2 Braves. The 2 Corsairs are going to stand in as 2 more Thunderbirds. I really want to try this out, get some mileage out of it, and see how it works while we're playing. So pardon the proxies. For the spear tip, we have 4 Yaris and 2 Firstborns. The Yaris have light ion cannons, as always. Warfist group, we have 2 Jaguars and a Dream Snare, and 2 Caimans. Those form the Warfist, the heavy group. My sword point is 4 Tarantulas and 3 Kukris. No Tomahawks today. Use their points for the Thunderbirds there in the center. Also switched out my 7th battle group from a 2nd sword point to 2 War Spears, individuals. And then for my gates, I have 4 Spirit Gates, 1 Gaia Heavy Gate, and 3 Medium Gates, and then 2 of the Haven Terra Gates. So that's the Shaltari half, 2,500 points. We will be back after we begin activations. Activation 1 is complete. The UCM moved on 2 groups of 3 sabers with their condors and a unit of 3 rapiers with their condor behind the building here on the flank. The Shaltari answered with 1 Haven Terragate and the Tarantula group. So no Shaltari on the table yet. UCM in the corner. Okay, for the first activation, I did forget my Kukris. Since I moved my battle groups around, I forgot them, so I went ahead and drove them on. The Warfist was my second. Well, let's start with the UCM. They brought their 2nd group of armor on down here around the focal point on this end. Shaltari brought on the Warfist with the Gaia. We dropped in the Jaguars and the Dream Snare in the center. The Caimans rolled on the flank, fired their laser pods at the building, did it 2 damage points, and their Gauss Triads picked the 2 lead sabers off. So that's 2nd activation. UCM spin their 3rd activation to move their Wolverines on down the street here, and their Praetorians into the building. The Shaltari answer by moving their forward air observers on right here, and then moving the gate over here after dust off. Moved the 2 Thunderbirds onto the building, fired on the Praetorians, knocked 2 damage points out, but no damage from falling masonry. For the next activation, the UCM rolled on their scimitars and their drone base. The Ferrum launched its sprites to here behind the building. The two scimitars rolled on there. You can see one of them on the far edge of the table. He fired down the length. Him and the other one knocked 1 damage point out of the Jaguar. Shaltari answered with their command group. Coyote came on, knocked 2 more damage points out of the Praetorians building, but no damage to the Praetorians. And the 2 Ocelots fired, 1 at each scimitar. 1 scimitar was doubled out and destroyed. The other scimitar took 1 damage point. Next activation complete. The UCM infantry have moved up, dropped out of their condors just to avoid a fiery mess here on the turn 1 behind the building there. Their howitzers, you can see there, their dropships have come in and dropped them behind the main building. The Shaltari answered by moving this part of their infantry formation on. Just the 2 Thunderbirds fired downwind and did 1 more damage point to the building, scored a falling masonry, but did no damage, rolled a 1. So a couple more activations winding down turn 1 here. The UCM activated their infantry, left the light infantry off the table, but brought on the gunship here. Tried to target the Jaguars, there we go, but didn't have range, and fired its missile pods here, but again didn't have range, so just decided nothing there. We went ahead and moved our spirit gates here, moved our Yaris out, leaving the firstborns in reserve. So down to fast movers, and that'll be the end of turn 1. Oh, that's also, now that before I hit the button to stop this thing, it's worth mentioning we both got our fast movers out of reserve this turn. I meant to bring that up earlier, but I forgot about it. So we both have fast mover squadrons to bring on. We will be back following their attack runs. The UCM have opened the turn with their 2nd Armor Group loading up and moving. The Shaltari answered by firing the Coyote at the building, 1 damage point, no falling masonry. And the Ocelots killed the other scimitar on the end of the table, and then all of it shifted to the left slightly with the movement that it had left. UCM continued their maneuvers on this flank. The scimitars were dead, but the Ferrum went ahead and moved its drones 30 inches to this flank. The Shaltari moved on the 2 Edens, picked up the Caymans and moved again. The Gaia dropped the Caymans in the street over here to try to address this new flank. The Warstrider group fired their Gauss cannons on the building, 4 more points, killed 2 Praetorians, and then they stepped over sideways into the street as well. Next activation, the UCM activated command, rolled their Wolverines out into the street, fired an orbital laser on a Kukri, which promptly made his 5 up and blew a raspberry at him. They moved out as my next activation into the street as part of the Tarantula group, and one of the Eden gates flew onto the table here. That was that activation. Be back after the following. Alrighty, UCM fired up their artillery and one of their infantry formations. Infantry just kind of scooted a little. Fired 2 smoke rounds here with their artillery to give them +2 accuracy for all incoming rounds. Yaris moved out into the street, fired on their dropships, did nothing. So nothing from the Shaltari. Smoke on them for the smoke rounds. 1 round did try to hit the Yaris with the strength 8 blast, but it scattered clear off. So that is that activation. We got 1 or 2 more each, and that'll be the end of turn 2. 6th activation was a quick one. The UCM activated their Archangel, left it off the table, and the Shaltari activated their small infantry, walked these guys over to the side, and flew our 2 Thunderbirds up to this flank. Final activations of turn 2, the UCM brought on their light infantry there behind the building in their Raven A's. The Shaltari brought their last infantry up, moved this squad of Thunderbirds this way 20 inches, and then moved all 4 Spirit Gates onto this edge at 30-inch speed. So that is the end of turn 2. Still not a whole lot of casualties. 1 Archangel, 2 War Spears, and 2 Sabers, and 2 Praetorians. Can't forget the brave men on the ground. I think that's it right now. We will be back as turn 3 commences. Alright, Shaltari got first activation this turn. We moved the Edens up and dropped the Tarantulas here behind the building. And then we scooted the Kukris up, fired on the Condor here, hoping to get a lucky splash down. We only had 1 in range. We're able to deal 1 damage point. The UCM responded by going ahead and dropping that armor back out in the street. So that is first activation, turn 3. Second activation, the Ocelots and the Coyote activated for the Shaltari. Coyote fired and knocked a pair of damage points out of this building just to do something. Ocelots fired down the street here, fired at the Saber on the corner there, and rolled a 1, fired on the rapier in the lead there and rolled a 1. We played an assisted targeting to get a hit on the rapier and knocked it out with that second roll. The UCM countered by moving their ferrum, moved their drones to this flank and got them into position. So that's where we're at right now. Shaltari's next activation moved the Eden Gate up here, played a crazy pilot to land next to all those tanks, dropped off the two gates, and put 4 stands of infantry in the building. Then we fired the Thunderbirds at the rapiers, but they both missed. Rolled a 1 and a 2, so then they moved over here to try to avoid the retaliatory fire in the following turn. The UCM responded by moving their big infantry around. Didn't really do anything with them, but they did move their gunships over here and fire. Missed with both shots. They fired 1 smart smoke here, fired 2 but missed with 1. The final one fired at the 1 yard. He stuck out in the street and he got pulverized by the large blast, or the medium blast. So that is that activation. Shaltari activated their other infantry. The 1 squad is still stranded down here on the board edge. We didn't really have a gate to bring back for them. We went ahead and moved the other spirit gates up against the building so we could use them in future turns if available. Then we brought the Thunderbirds down. They fired at the guys on the corner there, hit with 1, missed with the other. That 3+ accuracy is just proven to be my bane. Can't get a hit through with that. The UCM went ahead and dropped here to force an issue for a block party. Got 6 sabers getting ready to square off with my heavies. Coming back with the next activation in just a moment. The next activation, Shaltari moved their heavies around to address this armor on the flank. Fired into here with the 4 Jaguars into 1 UCM tank, destroyed it, and then a Gauss Triad into each of the other 2 along the front, destroyed them. My opponent crunched some numbers and just doesn't think he can pull this one around. With his home objective on that end being overrun. This one is pretty much mine. He'd have to get really lucky, I think, down here to make enough of a difference to end this one. And then I've pretty well got that one wrapped up as well. So he's going to go ahead and call it there. As always, we will have after action reviews and army lists on the forum, or on the blog rather. If you want to check that out, follow the link in the description. We also do Bella Lost Souls videos and articles, so head on over there and check out the Dropzone articles there. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.